On Fox Business Network, the hosts did what they do best, which is mock minimum wage protesters.
I'd like them to be paid more, but I don't want them to lose their jobs. And by the way, Walmart employs between 1.3 and 1.4 million people. At most, a couple of hundred have demonstrated against Walmart. Those are college students and paid agitators. They have nothing to do with the people who work at Walmart.
In fact, I bet you a lot of people at Walmart probably would hope they go away, so to your point, they don't lose their job. Gary Kay, they never stop, though. Walmart is a big, juicy target.
That's all it is. Look, these protesters are just absolutely nuts. The fact is that Walmart's full hourly wage is $13 already. There's only 6,000 of them that are at minimum wage, and they're already fixing that up. Walmart is the greatest job-creating machine in history before and going forward, and these morons want to make people lose jobs.
I think you and I were talking about this at the break. These are paid agitators for the most part, and I think if the American people knew where taxpayer money, which funnels its way from community organizing groups like Acorn and some of these other big unions,
La Renza, whatever that is,
Raza, and the unions, and how it's there's a sort of coalition of the left that pays people to attack big business or business. I think the American people would be aghast of what's going on. This is a real tragedy.
Oh, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy that people want a living wage. They're not being unreasonable. They're not saying, hey, let me work full-time at a minimum wage job and own a mansion and a Ferrari and a Maserati and have an entourage. That's not what they're saying. They're saying, could I just survive? Just the bare minimum? Could you just pay me enough so I could pay the rent and keep the lights on and stuff? Oh, it's a tragedy. They're, quote, morons. They're, quote, absolutely nuts. So ironic that they're saying that as they're advocating for a position that is to keep people in literal wage slavery, which is, of course, the middle area between what you can make to survive and slavery. It's so hard to wrap your mind around the fact that these guys aren't embarrassed by their position. And did you hear what he said at the end there? He said, well, it's community organizing groups like Acorn that have orchestrated these demonstrations and protests. Acorn hasn't existed for years. The Republicans effectively defunded it. They got rid of it. But they still blame Acorn anyway. Why? Because they don't know anything. They don't read. They don't know the facts. They don't know the news. They don't know the reality. So they make shit up as they go along and realize that this is a clear case of projection because that's what they do. All the conservative movements that don't actually have a lot of people that back it fervently, you have the Koch brothers and Americans for Prosperity and all these different groups. They bus in protesters to an event and they give them the signs and they say, go out there and hold these up, which is why you have conservatives arguing, oh, the liberals are paying people to go out there and argue for a living wage. This isn't actually a sentiment that a lot of people believe in. Bullshit! Everybody out there, it actually cares about the issue, unlike you. So again, it's clear projection. You're saying that the liberals do what your side does. And then one of the guys says, Walmart is a job-creating machine. Okay. And that doesn't mean they're, by definition, good. You know what actually in history was a better job-creating machine than Walmart? I'm not kidding about this. Southern plantations. You do know that if we wanted to, we could totally eliminate unemployment tomorrow, like that. We could eliminate it. Now, if you listen to the Republicans, that's always a good thing. It would always be a good thing to get rid of unemployment, no matter what the details are of the situation. Okay, then bring back slavery. In slave states, you could have 0% unemployment, because if somebody's not working, you drag them there by force and you make them work. They're employed. 0% unemployment. That's not the best barometer of economic success of a country or a people. These things are obvious, but on Fox Business, they don't know or they don't care, and they call the protesters morons. I mean, they actually said at the beginning that Walmart workers don't actually want a living wage. These guys are a bunch of kids, a couple hundred of them. Meanwhile, there's over 1 million Walmart workers. They don't represent the workers themselves. Oh, really? So if you walked up to a Walmart worker and said, Would you like $12 an hour instead of the $8 you're making? They would say, no, please. I want that money to go to the Walton family who, alone, between the 6 of them, they have more money than 40% of America already. That's what they'd say. They wouldn't say, yes, I need this raise desperately. And finally, here's the thing that's the most maddening about this. These guys pretend like they're small government conservatives. They pretend like they're in favor of cutting social safety net programs and doing all that stuff. Now, if they actually were in favor of that, they would support a minimum wage increase. Why? Because if you make the company pay the workers more, pay the workers what they actually produce, well then they wouldn't need Medicaid, they wouldn't need food stamps, they wouldn't need the social safety net. Right now, Walmart workers take a tremendous amount from the government because their job doesn't pay them enough to survive. So if you make Walmart pay the workers what they're actually worth, if you make Walmart pay them a living wage, then they wouldn't need to go to Medicaid and food stamps and the social safety net programs, and you could cut the size of government. You could shrink the size of government. So even according to their own stated beliefs, they're wrong about this.